Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, have you ever stopped to think about how absolutely nothing in nature just exists on its own? It's true. Every single living thing, no matter how small, is part of a much larger, totally interconnected system. It's like a giant puzzle. So, in our time together today, we're going to build a really fascinating mental map of how all this life is organized. We'll start incredibly small with just one single creature, and then we're going to zoom all the way out until we're looking at the entire globe. Here's our roadmap for the journey. We'll climb nature's invisible ladder, group things into populations and communities, build ecosystems, explore massive biomes, and finally, wrap it all up with the biosphere. Let's jump right in. Starting with Section 1, Nature's Invisible Ladder, and the 6 steps of biological organization. Because life doesn't exist in a vacuum, scientists use a 6-step hierarchy to make sense of it all. To make this super easy to visualize, I want you to picture one lone zebra standing out on the African savanna. Just the one. That single living creature is our baseline organism. That's step 1, and it's where we anchor our whole journey today. Moving right along to Section 2, Populations and Communities, where we start grouping life together. So let's zoom out exactly one click from our single zebra and see what happens. The key here is that our lone organism instantly becomes a population the second it's joined by others of its exact kind. One zebra meets up with more zebras in the same area, and boom, we suddenly have a whole herd. Or, if you're more into plants, think of all the mango trees growing in one specific orchard. That right there is a population. But to officially be in the population club, a group has to check some very specific boxes. They absolutely must be the exact same species. They got to share the same turf, interact with each other, and be able to reproduce among themselves. And why does this actually matter? Well, scientists meticulously track these exact traits to figure out a population's size, watch how it grows, and most crucially, step in to prevent a species from going extinct. Now let's take it up another notch. A population is great, but again, it's not alone out there. If we take our herd of zebras and we introduce a pride of lions, a flock of birds, some insects, and those iconic sweeping savanna trees, we've just built a community. A community is basically the whole neighborhood, all the different populations living and interacting in that one specific area. People actually mix these two concepts up all the time, but the difference is literally night and day. Just remember, populations are exclusively one single species. That's it. Communities, on the other hand, are this intricate, dynamic mashup of many different species, all sharing the exact same space. And inside this diverse community, it is rarely quiet. Organisms are constantly interacting to keep the ecological balance in check. Sometimes it's fierce, like competition, where different plants might be aggressively fighting for the same sunlight or water. Sometimes it's predation, like the lion hunting our zebra. But hey, it's not all harsh. You also have mutualism, where everybody wins. Think of bees happily gathering nectar for food while at the same time helping the plants pollinate. It's an incredible web where everyone depends on everyone else. Which brings us to Section 3, Ecosystems. This is where we add the non-living factors into the mix. Up to this point, we've only been talking about living, breathing, growing things. But an ecosystem is the brilliant stage where our community of animals, plants, and fungi crashes headfirst into their physical, non-living environment. You simply cannot have an ecosystem without both sides of the coin interacting. It's a constant balancing act. An ecosystem completely relies on living biological elements, which scientists call biotic factors, interacting with the physical, non-living elements, the abiotic factors. We're talking about crucial stuff like water, air, soil quality, temperature, and sunlight. If the temperature suddenly drops or a watering hole dries up, those living biotic factors have to adapt immediately, or they won't survive. To keep the energy flowing between the living and the non-living, every single ecosystem relies on a really strict chain of command. First, you have producers, like green plants, magically making their own food from sunlight. Then come the consumers, like lions or us humans, who need to feed on other organisms. And finally, the unsung heroes of nature, decomposers. Fungi and bacteria break down dead matter, recycling vital nutrients right back into the dirt to kickstart the whole process all over again. All right, Section 4, Biomes, Earth's massive life zones. Get ready, because it's time for a massive leap in scale. We're zooming way out from a local ecosystem into vast, sweeping geographic territories. Our savanna ecosystem from earlier? Actually, scratch that. It's really just one tiny pocket inside a much larger biome. A biome is a huge region defined by overarching climate patterns, rainfall, and sprawling types of vegetation. Think of a biome like a giant umbrella that covers many, many smaller ecosystems that all share similar environmental conditions. When you look across the globe, it's wild how different these zones are. The heavy, warm rains of the Amazon tropical rainforest create a totally different universe than the scorching, dry days of the Sahara Desert. Our zebra, it's living its best life in the grassland biome, known for moderate rain and, well, lots of grass. Contrast that with the absolute extremes, like the deeply frozen ground of the Arctic tundra, or the freezing long winters of the taiga's evergreen forests up in Canada. And now for our final stop, Section 5, the Biosphere, our whole Earth. Let's make our final zoom out. Pull the lens back, until the entire blue marble of Earth is perfectly in frame. We have officially reached the Biosphere. This is the ultimate container of life. It's the absolute largest level of biological organization possible, stretching across all the continents, plunging deep into the darkest oceans, and reaching high up into the lower atmosphere. Basically, if life exists there, it's part of the biosphere. Every single level we've unpacked today is held safely within this massive biosphere. It provides every single resource needed for survival, and it physically connects all ecosystems and biomes together. It proves, absolutely for sure, that nothing in nature acts alone. So, looking back at our initial invisible ladder, you can clearly see how beautifully complex life gets as we scale up. We started simple, a single organism, one lone zebra. Then it became a population, a whole herd. We added lions and trees to build a community. We factored in the abiotic, soil and sunlight of the African savanna ecosystem. We zoomed out to the sprawling grassland biome. And finally, we saw exactly how it all fits in to the majestic, life-sustaining biosphere of planet Earth. Because the biosphere connects literally everything, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Next time you look outside your window, ask yourself, how do the non-living and living factors interacting right in your own backyard ripple out to affect the entire planet? It really makes you think, doesn't it? Thanks so much for joining me on this incredible zoom out through nature's invisible ladder, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.